It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mainz and Dutts. I'm your host, Mainz, and my colleague, a man who won't be trying out for Poe, the mascot for the Baltimore Ravens, is Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
I refuse to be the man who stands in the way of Ben Solak's destiny.
Truly, the internet is undefeated, and Ben has literally no clue on two things: how popular he is on the internet and how much people he is friends with are popular on the internet. When you have the likes of Mark Schofield, Mina Kimes, Nate Tice, Robert Mays as your friends, and you think you won't get 1,000 retweets to try out for Poe, who, by the way, suffered a season and possibly career-threatening knee injury in his
drumstick injury.
Drumstick injury, yeah. So yeah, Ben will be doing that later, hopefully, using video from The Ringer.
It just reminds me of a line from The Road to Perdition, when Tom Hanks' character and his son have done a few robberies, and the son asks, "Well, when do I get my share of the money?" He says, "How much do you want?" $100. He gives him it. He goes, "Could I have had more?" "You'll never know." I think it's, if you're going to, don't undersell yourself, young soul. Like, you know, if you're going to do something like that, the internet being undefeated is, go for the million. Don't say 1,000.
I love it. Right, this week is predictions week. We're going to go through the major awards. We're going to give you Super Bowl matches, division winners, wildcards, Coach of the Year, MVP, stuff like that. We've also got obviously some big NFL news that we wanted to catch on before that. And then this is the last of the preview shows, really. Next week we are back in full swing and we are talking full week one, which I can't wait for.
I'm fairly ambivalent myself.
Fantastic. Let's get on with the show. Before we get into the predictions, Neil, two major bits of NFL news, really, both revolving around quarterbacks, which is not really surprising, as that's really how the NFL goes. The first one is the highly surprising news that Jimmy G is going to stay at the 49ers and will be the backup, the highest paid backup in the league. What I love about this story is the complete middle of the world in which this was. The internet is a strange place, and we say this a lot, and there's usually hot takes all over the place, but there was reasonable, logical people on both sides of the fence in relation to this move. I talked about this with all the guys on a touchdown review, or all the NFL guys on Tuesday, and I guess I have the same question for you, and that question is this a good move by the 49ers or a bad one?
Without knowing the full detail, it's a good move for the 49ers.
I don't need reason. No. I want hot take speculation.
Okay, it's a good move for the 49ers because we go back to the Tom Moore quote, we don't practice bunt. It's always good to have a backup quarterback who's not going to sink your offense. We've seen it, we've seen it happen before. A backup can come in and totally derail it, especially if he doesn't have a skill set to execute the offense. That's great. When your backup quarterback is as popular as Jimmy Garoppolo clearly is with his teammates, has been to a Super Bowl, has been to an NFC title game, is revered as probably one of the perfect quarterbacks to run the system he's in, and there've been less than, I don't think there's been a groundswell of public support for Trey Lance from the brass. The optics of what the 49ers have done for the quarterback they traded up for is not good. Maybe Kyle Shanahan stopped trading up for players. Clearly every player you trade up for and pound the table for and whatnot, you despise with the red-hot intensity of 1,000 suns. Stop doing it. Just let the draft come to you otherwise.
It's really interesting, right? That you trade up to 3 or whatever. Even if you don't trade up to 3, you get a first round quarterback, right? That's what happens. Okay, cool. Understand that. It's completely logical. That means you're going to make that quarterback your franchise. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, injured and limited. Limited, I think, is the best way to describe it, right?
Capped ceiling.
However, the coach of this team has also stated in print on you can see it, that his perfect quarterback is Kirk Cousins. You then get someone like Trey Lance, who is literally the opposite of Kirk Cousins. Jimmy Garoppolo is very much like him. It causes me major concerns that, much like many draft picks that Kyle Shanahan does, he's decided that he doesn't like him. And he knows he has to play him because, as you said, traded up to get him and the likes. But he's not sold and he's expecting something to happen. I think also what it should be noted is it sounds like, and I can't, only based on what we know, that the roster, as you said, love Jimmy Garoppolo. If I'm Trey Lance, I don't want to be on a place. I don't want to be there when this happens, because everyone will be like, well, I like Jimmy and we won with him, so let's get him back. Do you know what I mean? It's as the 49ers, this is a good thing, because if Trey Lance doesn't work, the rest of the roster is excellent, and this means that you have a situation where you can still win even if your quarterback is rubbish. Long term for the franchise / for Trey Lance, I'm not sure this is great.
He's thrown 400 passes in the last 3 seasons. He's going to be, at the end of next season, you're going to have to make the decision on his 5th-year option. And you've put him in the worst possible position. Now, maybe, no pressure, no diamonds approach. Maybe the thought of having Jimmy there, an extra coach on the sideline for him, maybe this gets the best out of him. Maybe it doesn't. And you've spaffed the draft picks up the wall to get a player that you didn't want when you should have taken Mac Jones.
And this is the thing, right? Like, this all could have been solved 18 months ago when we were all laughing about him taking Mac Jones if he would have just, taken Mac Jones. But he didn't, and here we are. Speaking of quarterbacks who aren't Mac Jones or Jimmy Garoppolo, we come to, I think, over recent years, one of the more divisive star quarterbacks in the league, and that's Russell Wilson. Obviously moved to Denver in the off season, and today it seems like he has signed a 5-year extension with, I'm doing the worth thing in inverted commas, $245 million. However, what I'm not doing in inverted commas is $165 million guaranteed. Russell is 33, and now will be under contract with the Broncos through 2028. So what's a 39? I guess we knew he was going to get a new contract. I think that is fair. Are you surprised by the size and length? That's what she said.
Indeed. I'm not surprised by the length. It's I've had my eye on it for ages. There seems to be the expectation now that 38 is an acceptable age for quarterbacks we'll go to 38 and see. The one thing, however, that is notable, not so much with Russell Wilson, but more around the league. What did Russell Wilson not get in this deal?
Go on.
Fully guaranteed contract. The NFL have turned around basically in the few deals that have happened since he was traded to the Browns and have said, we are not negotiating contracts based on their mistake. So the rest of the NFL is saying, you want fully guaranteed contracts? Russell Wilson has had 2 chances now with Seattle and this to say, I want a fully guaranteed deal, I'm going to do something else. And he hasn't taken it because he knows NFL teams, rational ones, are not going to give him it. So this is massive news for Lamar Jackson. It's massive news, potentially, next season for Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, people like that. That's the most notable thing to me. the Broncos traded for him. They had to sign him. And, was he going to take less than market value? Of course he wasn't. It's Russell Wilson. The man's a walking calculator anyway. Certainly has the personality of one. So I just think it's noticeable that, I say yet again, the opportunity for a banner quarterback to take the fully guaranteed deal has cropped up, and it hasn't happened. So it serves notice that what happened in Cleveland is an outlier, and NFL teams are not going to play that game.
I think you're right. I think there's two things on this. I think if you didn't think the hype in Denver was high enough, it will be now. And we're not sure. I think, Neil, although we'll find out more on the predictions, that this team is ready this year to win. But also it surely crystallises around whereabouts Lamar Jackson must be thinking he can get or is looking to get on his deal, because he is really next off the line. So I assume now, I suppose there's really a week where they may discuss it, that there'll be a move in Baltimore to try and get that deal done so it's not hanging over everybody's head.
They're being a wiggle on.
Yes, they do need to get a wiggle on. That is it for the news. Let's get on with the actual main portion of the show, which is predictions. So, season's about to start. Thought we'd go through division winners, wild cards, and some other stuff which we'll come to. I am really old, so this is full never eat shredded wheat, and I've gone A before N, alphabet and that. So let's go down the divisions, Neil, and I want your division winner and a reason, and then I will give mine. AFC North, please.
The Baltimore Ravens. They cannot possibly be as injury hit as they were last year. They want to go back to a formula that worked, and I think it will. I don't think this division is the Bengals to do as they will for the next 15 years. I think they're still going to be competitive, and I think I just cannot see things going as badly again for a Ravens team coached by John Harbaugh.
I also picked the Baltimore Ravens. This is nothing necessarily against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they did only win 10 games last year, and they were challenged quite heavily by the Ravens, although they did spank the Ravens twice. Up until the end of the season, as Neil said, they were one of the most injured teams ever in NFL history. I think John Harbaugh is an absolutely tremendous coach. I think Lamar Jackson's ready to have another fantastic season. So yeah, same for me. I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. Neil, AFC East.
Buffalo Bills.
Was this the easiest of all 8 to pick?
No, the NFC South was the easiest.
Okay.
But this was close.
This was close. I also got the Buffalo Bills. I think they are at the moment, in my opinion, favourites for the 1 seed in the AFC. Now, they obviously have to play Bill Belichick twice, never easy. But I'm not convinced by New England. I think they are a kind of 500 team. I think we said that when we did the AFC East. I'm not fully convinced by Miami. So yeah, I think this was an easy pick for me. I think this is easier to pick than the NFC South. AFC South.
Colts. Again, fairly simple. I think they've got better. I don't think the Titans have. I think potentially the Titans got worse, especially losing Harold Landry today.
Yeah.
Luckily, the lad signed his big money deal in March, so he's not going into a contract year after suffering an ACL, so that's always a comfort. I don't think it'll be much of a comfort at the moment, but they've not got better. The Texans are shite, and the Jaguars at least have a grown-up in charge, but they're not going to compete.
It'd be fun if they did, but I agree with you. I also picked the Indianapolis Colts. What I will say is, I do think this is the most talented team in the AFC South by quite a way. But I'm interested in the Titans this year, and one of the reasons is I think Mike Vrabel is I don't know if underrated is the right word, but they always seem to win, and I'm not sure anyone ever picks them to win. And if you want to, say that Derrick Henry's done, that's cool. I'm not going to say it until it happens.
He is, I say, Vrabel does have that Mike Tomlin vibe to him in the sense that you always think they're going to get 9 wins.
Yeah, exactly.
At least.
AFC West.
This will surprise a few people, the Chiefs. And the main reason for that is I know this division has got a lot better. I know it's probably the most competitive division in recent years, certainly with 4 top caliber quarterbacks. But the last time I checked, the Kansas City Chiefs are still quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes and coached by Andy Reid. So someone's going to have to knock me off that perch because I'm not moving off it by myself.
Completely logical on all parts. I was listening to the Ringer NFL show literally before this show, and Ben, Steven, and Danny Heifetz were picking divisions, and Ben made a valid point. If you didn't know the Chargers were the Chargers, and they, did Charger things, and were cursed by an Indian burial ground at some point, you would highlight that they have the best roster in the NFL. So guess what? Charlie Brown kicking football time. I am picking the Los Angeles Chargers to win this division because I think they've got more talent than the Kansas City Chiefs. That is not me saying that Patrick Mahomes is better, is not as good as Justin Herbert. Not saying that Andy Reid isn't the best coach. I'm just saying overarching talent. I'm going to pick the Chargers.
The problem is, and I was on the Bolts Up, a Chargers podcast this week that I'll get to when we do our plugs. Potential just means you ain't done it.
Yeah, no, of course.
And as impressive as the stats are and whatnot, Chargers haven't done a damn thing.
The Chargers have never done a damn thing ever. But I'm happy to be proven wrong again. Let's move over to the NFC, Neil. NFC North.
The Minnesota Vikings.
You and Sheil Kapadia need to get a flipping room. Talk me through why it's the Minnesota Vikings, Neil.
I think it's the best offense in the division. I know they've got Aaron Rodgers in this division, but so what? They play slow. He's got no one to pass to. They're going to go through the ground game and the defense. Whereas I think the Vikings are going to try and fill the air with footballs. So I just think offense still wins, even in the frigid north of the country.
What I love about this, if you think about it logically, what Neil has told you is that he's picked the Kansas City Chiefs because of their quarterback and head coach, and then told you that he's picked Kirk Cousins and a guy who's never been a head coach in his entire life over Aaron Rodgers and a guy who's gone 13-3 three times on the run. He doesn't need to get to the Super Bowl because I'm just picking him to win his division, which he's done 3 times on the run. They have the best defense by an absolute country mile. Possibly have a chance to have one of the best defense in the NFL. Never mind the NFC North. And they have a lunatic, but Aaron Rodgers. So I'm picking the Green Bay Packers. Everyone's favourite division, Neil, the NFC East. Let's not just say it.
The Eagles.
Yeah, I was going to say, please do not. I mean, you can reverse jinx it if you want. I'm all for that. I've got no problem with it personally. But, you'll be wrong.
The problem I have with the Eagles is you look at the roster now compared to the roster at the end of the Tampa Bay Bucks playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
It is undoubtedly improved. The secondary's better. The linebackers are better. The front four has been beefed up. The receiving core has been upgraded. But what if Jalen Hurts isn't the guy? This is it. I can't get past this until he shows me he is. I'm going to be skeptical. As I say, I like him as a person. I think as a leader, he comes off really well. His teammates seem to love him. Everyone always says anything about him. But what if he caps the ceiling of this team because he can't elevate as a passer? You know what I mean?
Who won this division last year?
The Cowboys.
Who made the playoffs last year?
The Eagles and the Cowboys.
Who was the quarterback of the Eagles last year?
Jalen Hurts.
So you made the playoffs with Jalen Hurts. Is the roster better? I think it's undoubtable. Is the Cowboys roster worse?
Yes.
It's Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not really sure what we're talking about. Two teams are a dumpster fire, and I have a feeling what the third one is. Sean Payton looming memes a go. I just think there's no way that the Eagles don't win this, and we've said, and I think we'll come on to it a bit later, like the schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles is actually not suitable for work in terms of what it is. It's outrageous. I don't even know how it's come to be. It's one of those like once in a lifetime situations. NFC South, I assume you're picking everyone's favourite plastic surgeon, Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers.
Yes, although I will qualify this to say that I cannot be shaken from the notion that this is it. This is the last dance. This is the last season. Does that mean he's going to go out with a damp squib? We'll come to that. But this is it. Because this is a man who has been football the whole way through for the last 20 years in the NFL. Then he retires. Then he unretires. Then he misses 2 weeks of training camp. And then he comes back blatantly after having work done. I mean, you look at his face now compared to what it was when he was drafted. We know you've had work done, Tom. Never this blatant. So I don't think the fire is burning as brightly or as hot as it has done for Tom Brady. I think there is a simmering. Does that mean he's going to suck and coast? Probably not. But this is it. And I've said this before and been proven wrong 8 years later. But I'm going out on it again.
I think it's the Buccaneers, and a few people have started to pick the Saints. Ty picked them on the touchdown review. I've heard a few other people pick them, and I'm like, this team for a decade, I was told, was Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and a few others, but not many. Maybe the 2017 draft. Drew Brees and Sean Payton are gone, and now people are telling me this team's going to win 11 games with Dennis Allen, with Jameis Winston. I'm missing something here. I think the Bucs win this comfortably. I don't even need to be good. They'll get a home playoff game because they'll win their division. NFC West.
The Rams. I did think, when I initially looked at this, of going the 49ers, but then they did the Jimmy Garoppolo thing.
England's team.
The team of Gridiron.
The team of Gridiron. And TalkSport.
Gridiron TalkSport, yeah. As I said, the whole thing seems like it's been contrived just for Will Gavin's benefit, but I'm assured that it was not. I just worry that the roster that the 49ers have is very good, but they are not sold on their quarterback. So I'll go with the Rams because they are sold on their quarterback and their coach and their system works, and they have two of the best players at their position in Donald and Ramsey and playmakers elsewhere. So, yeah.
I have picked the 49ers. I did pick them before the news on Jimmy Garoppolo, but in theory, that may strengthen my position because I think it gives them a stopgap if things go badly with Lance. Because I think the issue was, for me, was what happens if Lance is rubbish and they haven't got a quarterback. Well, now they have got a quarterback who they know they can get to Super Bowls and NFC title games with. So, yeah, San Francisco 49ers for me.
Breaking news, speaking of the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles have claimed Trey Sermon on waivers.
Nice.
Yep, just what the Eagles needed. A big, bruising running back who looks more like a fullback.
Don't think Neil believes
Although,
that.
well, the Eagles have been, since my time supporting the Eagles, they've always been looking for a big back. They had it briefly with LeGarrette Blount, and it worked. So, do I think he's going to come in and be the running back one? No, but he might come in and do a job for them that they need. And basically, again, it means that you want to leave every draft with Kenny Gainwell. Now, this is a full-blown committee, and I really don't think I want any part of it at all.
Love it. Can I have your 3 AFC wildcard teams, please, Neil?
Well, as you asked so nicely, yes, you can. They are the Chargers of Los Angeles, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Tennessee Titans.
I have picked the Chiefs, also the Bengals, and in a shocking turn of events, Mainzy's gone all in on the Derek Carr hype train and has picked the I nearly said Oakland then, the Las Vegas Raiders to make the Super Bowl. More in a kind of, I really struggled to pick the third team. Tennessee's is a logical one. Could it be Seattle? Yeah. Other teams, I'm like, not really. So this team went to the playoffs last year, and they got Devontae Adams, and I think a better offensive mind. We'll find out if he's a better head coach. So yeah, I picked them.
See, I worried about. I was thinking about the Raiders, but their offensive line is a Greek tragedy, and that held me back. I thought about the Broncos, but their defense isn't great. They've got Patrick Surtain, or Surtain, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I never knew how to pronounce his dad's name.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, been getting it wrong for 30 years, Neil. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll just keep swapping the generation. But I'm not convinced by their defense in this division of shootouts. The Titans, I'm not in love with, but I just think in their division they can win enough games. They've got 4 wins against the other 2 clowns. Let's be honest. And could they split with the Colts? Possibly. Well, there's 5. As we said before, they only need to get 4 wins from somewhere else. So yeah, it was a tough one, the AFC, because the AFC is so damn strong.
Love it. NFC, 3 picks, Neil.
Basically, it just reads like the dominant forces of the 80s and 90s here. I've got the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, and the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay. I have picked the Rams, the Vikings, and the Cardinals. Note, Call of Duty dependent. Spending time on a touchdown review with Callum Squires. His greatest love is Kyler Murray, so he's well and truly got me indoctrinated into picking them. I ain't picking the Cowboys, not because of not because I hate them, because I do. But I've picked Man U to win the league for years. It's not personal, it's strictly business, and I don't think they're any good. So yeah. Neil, give me a Super Bowl matchup, please.
My Super Bowl matchup is the Buffalo Bills against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
A lot of people have picked that, and I'm going to do the same thing. So if you listen to the review on this, you must get bored of me saying this. Imagine the Buffalo Bills. You've never won a Super Bowl. You've lost 4. You've probably got mental scars about that. Tell you what I'd want to get rid of those mental scars. Seeing Tom Brady again after getting my ass whipped by him for 20 years.
But Tom Brady has never won a Super Bowl against a team from the east of the other conference.
Touche, Neil. I've gone narrative in the other way, and I've gone for the Battle of Los Angeles. Chargers v Rams. It's literally never going to happen.
No.
I'm not even sure it can happen. But that's what I've gone for, because it's the 1st of September and everything's possible. Neil, who will be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next year?
The Houston Texans are on the clock when head coach Josh McCown will have a decision to make as to who his new franchise quarterback will be.
Love it. Yeah, that will be as we say on here, because we don't watch much college. A lot of 8:30 or 5 o'clock on BT Sport. Ohio State and Alabama will assist you. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are two of the main guys that you should be focusing on. I have picked the Atlanta Falcons. They are garbage. Now, there is a bit of preseason Desmond Ridder hype, but I'm not sure. I mean, can you throw it to a tight end 150 times? We're about to find out. But yeah, I've gone for the Atlanta Falcons. Neil, who's going to be the MVP of the league this year?
The MVP of the league will be Josh Allen.
I've also picked Josh Allen. He is favourite to win this. But yeah, I think based on what we said in terms of the division and stuff like that, I think this is a logical place to go, right?
I think so.
So yeah, who is your coach of the year, Neil?
My coach of the year will be John Harbaugh, because the turnaround that they will pull off.
That is literally what she said. My coach of the year is Nick Sirianni, Philadelphia Eagles head coach. I'm going to give away my one bold prediction now, non-fantasy, which is the Eagles will be the NFC number 1 seed. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl, as proven by the fact I've got Rams against Chargers. But yes, I think a Eagles team winning 13 or 14 games and gaining the number 1 seed will mean that Nick Sirianni will be coach of the year. A long way from this time last year when he was talking about flowers and other nonsense and we thought he was a clown. Who's the first coach fired, Neil?
Matt Rule, by Thanksgiving. David Tepper has shown incredible patience with Matt Rule, but he's also shown he's not afraid to make an in-season firing, as he did it with Ron Rivera. I think there potentially could be absolutely atrocious. The fact that Baker Mayfield is probably the best quarterback they've had since Tepper took over says more about the team than it does about Baker Mayfield. And I think they will literally want to get a head start on the next hiring cycle, and they'll want Rule out of there.
My first coach fired is Ron Rivera, coach of the Washington Commanders. Not really any fault of his. I'm not 100% sure there is a coach that exists or has ever existed who would be able to fix this place. Complete and utter show. Until the owner's gone, it's going to continue to do so. Yeah, thinking Carson Wentz is the answer means you've got problems, and the problems mean that you probably haven't got a job.
I think as well, for all the reputation he does get, it's justifiable as a culture leader. Ron Rivera really needs to stop comparing every damn player on his roster to a player who used to play for the Carolina Panthers. There are 31 other teams, Ron.
He also needs to stop former players from the Carolina Panthers as well.
Well, yeah, but I want to have a running back by committee. Like we had with Williams and Stewart. Okay, so what do you think about Antonio Gibson? I think he's a bit like Christian McCaffrey. Okay, so what are we saying here? Is Carson Wentz Jake Delhomme? Is that what we go? I mean, no, that was before Rivera's time, but they're the only comparisons we can make?
I mean, even though if we think about it logically, if we go with the Ron Rivera pick, right, like the owner is a despicable human being. You should probably be in jail. But he's got loads of money and has never really been afraid not to spend it on a head coach. So if you don't think if there's some issues going on in Dallas, for example, he's not going to attempt to back up a Brinks truck to get Sean Payton, then you have not been paying attention since like 1999 or whenever he took over. Now, would I expect Sean Payton to take the job? Absolutely not. It'd be flipping insane. I mean, he might do if you give him 20 million a year or whatever. You know what I mean? There'll be a number that will make it not insane. But one of the best ways to do that is to speak to him first. So if you fire your head coach before Dallas fires Mike McCarthy, then you've got a chance. I guess that's what I'd say. Mm-hmm. Final two predictions, Neil. A bold prediction and a bold fantasy prediction. So what is your bold prediction, please?
Well, my bold prediction is, because I don't trust him, because every word that comes out of his mouth I think is a lie in some way, I'm going to say this. Jimmy Garoppolo makes starts in 2022 for a team other than the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe a team that currently, and they don't do it enough, but a team that plays in aqua.
Aqua. What a special colour. I've already given my bold prediction. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles will be the 1 seed in the NFC. That I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the second week to a team like the Rams, who they would play, in the kind of wildcard situation. But that doesn't mean you can't be the 1 seed. Neil, what's your bold fantasy prediction?
My bold fantasy prediction, and anyone who's listened to me over the off-season, and there must be 2 or 3 of you, I said this when I spoke with friend Kelly on the Wrote the World on the Mind and Mansion show, is that Jared Goff will be a QB1 in fantasy football this year. That means a top 12 one, for those of you not what I'm talking about.
My one bold fantasy prediction is a wish. I think it can happen, but it's a wish. There's a man who's gone down what we like to call the Andre Johnson school of quarterbacks, and that man is Allen Robinson. And I believe, all things being well, there's a chance that Allen Robinson is a top 5 fantasy wide receiver this year. I was going to say top 12, but then I noticed he was being picked at like 25, and that's not bold enough. So let's go fully bold and say top 5 fantasy wide receiver.
That is bold.
This man's basically had me and you as his quarterback since, I don't know, first day of college. So he needs a break, and hopefully he's gonna get one with Matthew Stafford. Neil, that is it for the predictions. We have literally lifted all those weights, and we are ready for week 1 next week, where we get our predictions and we go back to kind of standard format in the show. We'll give you, fancy darlings and fancy losers and some hot takes and stuff like that. It's going to be fantastic stuff. Until then, Neil, where can people catch you?
People can catch me on the Twitter at ndutton13. As I said the other day, I was on the podcast with my good friend John Was. It's a Chargers podcast. I'll just find its name. The Charged Up Bolts. So I was on their podcast talking about the Chargers, talking a bit fantasy, a bit the Eagles. So that was good. As I say, from next week, that's when the fun begins. So you'll get my Super Bowl odds tracker. You'll get the tight end report. You'll get the pace report from the Road World once the season starts. You'll get me writing the blurbs for the Jaguars and the Chargers. You'll get the fancy darlings that I'll do for Nat Coombs that I may speak of in this podcast. It's going to be all hands to the pump. And I'm not sure I can be asked. But no, seriously, it'll be great.
I am at Mainzy7. Come by me at waxing_lyrical. This week on the Touchdown Review for the Touchdown, I hosted George Somerville. We talked college, SEC, and alignment. Great stuff. George is just read all the Neil stuff. Wonderful, all over the place. Make sure, if you're not sure on college and you want to learn more, get George's article weekly. It's absolutely brilliant, fully knowledgeable. I don't think there's anybody in the UK who knows more about the SEC than George. Absolutely brilliant stuff. We also had Taib, Thomas, Callum and Joe giving their predictions in terms of who they think is going to be Super Bowl bound and who's going to be MVPs and stuff like that. Great stuff, great show. Really enjoyed doing it. Just
a quick one just before we go, just harkening back to your Fantasy Bowl prediction. Alan Robinson is one of 14 players since the dawn of time to have a season of 1,400 yards receiving and 14 touchdowns. Can you name the 3 players who've had more than one such season in their career?
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice has had 4.
Jesus Christ. 1,400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And 14 touchdowns.
Yeah. So at least 14 touchdowns.
And he's done it twice.
The next 2 people, one of them has done it 3 times, and then the other one has done it twice.
Did Moss do it in Minnesota and in New England?
Moss has 3 such seasons.
Yes, so he did 2 in Minnesota, did he?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So this other person has done it.
This person actually did it in back-to-back seasons.
Jesus Christ. I don't know, who's that?
Marvin Harrison in 2000 and 2001.
A man who's not named in law for many reasons, all of which are valid. But him and Peyton Manning were excellent, and obviously Reggie and everyone else.
Just to round it out for everyone else, the other people who've done it once: Cooper Kupp last season, Brandon Marshall 2015, Demaryius Thomas 2013, Calvin Johnson 2011, Mushin Muhammad 2004, Terrell Owens.
Chicago Bears?
No, for the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, Carolina, sorry, Panthers, yeah, sorry.
Terrell Owens 2001, Antonio Freeman 1998, Herman Moore 1995, Lance Allworth 1965, and Elroy Hirsch 1951.
Wow, great stuff, Neil. On that bombshell, we will be gone. We'll be back next week. It's week 1. We've done it. We've survived the summer and we are ready to go. But until then, these top guys are out.